I have a very special guest with us today, Aditya Jhunjhunwala. Aditya is an entrepreneur, educator, coach, and speaker with nearly 2 decades of experience in business and education. An alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad, he is the founder of Let's Enterprise, an initiative focused on bridging the gap between traditional education and real world skills through experiential learning, including India's first working BBA. Aditya advocates for a shift from rote learning to hands on entrepreneurial thinking, preparing students to thrive in an innovation driven future. Aditya, it's a pleasure to have you today. Thank you so much for joining us on this
The
call.
pleasure is all mine, Devesh. Thank you so much and for having me on this podcast of yours. As usual, it's always wonderful to interact with you. And yes, as you said, what I have been focusing on and what we as an organization are focusing on is bringing that practical component into higher education in India. Right.
Okay.
I have for the last 11, 12 years worked with thousands of undergrad students, and through our own experience also we know ki, in India we are very theoretical focused. There's a lot of bookish learning, but when it actually comes down to when we have to go down, join a company, start a business, and get things done, that gap is felt, right? So
Yeah.
the idea of Let's Enterprises and the, like you said, the working BBA program is that how can we bring real world practical skills into higher education, and our focus is business and entrepreneurship students. So
Yeah.
students who are excited about the world of business or would like to become entrepreneurs at some stage, how can they
Yeah.
learn, the mindsets and the skills that are applicable in a very hands-on way.
Okay,
That's
fantastic.
really what we do.
Superb. So let me start off with a question about entrepreneurship then. Why do you believe it's important for students to start learning about entrepreneurship early?
Now, that's a great question. That's a great question, Devesh, because what happens normally when we think of entrepreneurship, okay, we only have one thing in mind, we're going to invest some money and start a business, right? That's the
Yeah.
idea of entrepreneurship that we have. And that is true also. But the truth is that today, whatever work we do, whether you want to be, you want to do technology or you want to do something with art, something with music, some people are passionate about, let's say, fitness. The truth is, at the end of the day, you have to make money, you have to be profitable, and you have to serve people, you have to serve customers, right? And in this process, you have to solve problems, you have to build systems, you have to do marketing, you have to do sales, you have to handle money, right? And that's what entrepreneurship is. We like to say entrepreneurial thinking, right? And ultimately, like I said, whatever you do, you have to solve problems, you have to put systems into place, and you have to create the flow of wealth. Okay. And that is why the sooner that you start, the better it is. The sooner that we realize that the whole world is about solving problems, serving people, and
Yeah.
creating the flow of wealth, the better.
Right.
So that's why I think the earlier that you
Okay.
can start, developing these skills, you get a head start.
hmm Okay. And coming to your program at Let's Enterprise, what does your entrepreneurship program focus on, and how does it help students turn their ideas into real ventures?
Right, right. See, the focus is very simple. Okay. Um, if I have to turn an idea into reality, okay, as an entrepreneur, as a student, if I have an idea and I want to convert that into reality, whether it is a venture or whether it is, piece of art I want to create, or whether it's a technical idea that I have, I want to make a product, the interesting thing is idea to reality is 0 to 1. You're starting with 0 and you have to create something out of it, right? Now, if you look at 0 to 1, the output divided by the input, okay, if you make a ratio, the output divided by input, okay, output is 1, input was 0. 1 divided by 0 is infinity, right? So the energy that is required to create an idea into a reality is infinity. It requires a huge amount of entrepreneurial energy. And that is what our program tries to create, an environment where you have that, you have the platform and you have the support that you need to put that kind of infinite energy. And the way we do that is something called as challenge based learning. So in the normal pedagogy, what happens is you are given input. So let's say marketing, then you have a whole semester, you have to study marketing, you read textbooks, then you have to give exams, right? So first you get the inputs and then you solve the problems in the exam. But challenge based learning turns this idea on its head and it says, first I'll give you the problem. You don't know anything about the subject. I'm giving you the problem that you have to sell this product and you have to make, X amount of sales. So first I give you the problem. And if you feel excited about solving the problem, now you will go and seek the knowledge. You will go and seek the answers that are required to solve this problem. Right? So our program is based on challenge-based learning, and the entire first year, there are 12 such challenges: marketing, product design, sales, design thinking. There are challenges that are thrown at the students, and then the students go out, learn the knowledge, learn the content, learn the methods, right? So what happens in that, it becomes a process of 0 to 1. You have to apply that kind of entrepreneurial energy, and that's how that mindset is created.
So, thanks for sharing that. You said there are 12 challenges and it's also a BBA degree. So, can you just tell us a little bit of how is it structured, and at the end of the degree, like what kind of degree do they get, and what are the technical aspects of this program?
Absolutely. So the idea is that you get a BBA degree from a UGC certified approved university, right? Which means you have certain amount of submissions and certain exams that have to be done every 6 months. And so you have the regular BBA subjects and the regular BBA exams. Uh, and that merges perfectly with the curriculum. So along with the challenges, you are also learning these subjects. The truth is that, once you have done an accounts challenge, once you have done a marketing challenge, for you to learn the subjects and knowledge, to have the knowledge that is required to answer the exams, is actually much, much easier. So that happens as a natural flow. The program is made up of 3 years. And in each of the years, you have the regular BBA exams. But the first year is made up of these 12 challenges. The second year, there are 3 apprenticeships that you do and 2 corporate projects. And the third year, you end up doing a 9 month long, either bringing your own idea into a reality, or a 9 month long entrepreneurial project with a startup or with a local business. And the whole thing is kind of facilitated by our team. So the whole idea is that by the time you complete these 3-4 years, Devesh, after 12, the undergrad years, I believe these are the best years of a student's life. I like to call it as the bridge years between the prison of school and the reality of adulthood, right? And in one of the interviews, Elon Musk said that, in these undergrad years, if you are not making enough mistakes, if you are not, failing enough, that means you are not exploring enough. So the whole idea is that let's really use these 3-4 years to explore, to try many things, and to build that mindset that is required to really create a life of success and joyfulness.
Superb, superb. Absolutely, totally agree with you. And I think entrepreneurship is also very close to my heart. And you can only learn entrepreneurship by getting your hands dirty, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, you already have a batch of students going through your program. Do you want to share some of their success stories of what kind of projects or initiatives they are working upon?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we have been running these kind of experiential programs for the last 6 years. And we've worked with actual real life businesses, okay? And we take real problems and we even charge the companies for it. Because what happens if you don't charge the company, then they don't give you a real problem. Then it becomes like a dummy problem or a case study. And we don't believe in doing that. So, for example, right now we are working with um, an entrepreneur in Bombay. Okay, without naming the person, he he quit as the partner of a big five consulting company and started his second entrepreneurial venture, and he's launching a brand of trail mixes. Okay, so our students are working with him to talk to potential customers and to zoom in on who would be the ideal persona for a business like this, and how to create a branding and messaging plan. So this is a real life project that they're working on. Another group of students, they are working on a project. So they've got a 3D printer in the space. And they are designing products on the 3D printer and setting up an Amazon store. And they've got a certain amount of capital that we have invested on them, and they have to multiply that capital with that 3D printing business. So they are learning, the whole dynamics and costing of 3D printing, but they're also learning how to set up and run an Amazon store, how to promote the products, etc. Right. Recently, another group of students did a project where, for a major engineering company in Pune, we had to talk to 74 of the distributors and retailers and come back to the MD of the company with concrete proposals as to how we could kind of differentiate their product offering vis-a-vis the competition. Right. So these are some examples of the kind of projects that we are working on. Another student has started his own business of making A3 size posters. Right. So he has already started his first kind of small retail outlet and now is looking at how to go D2C. Right.
Wow.
So we have a variety of projects that are happening at any given time.
Superb. This sounds very exciting, and I'm sure this kind of exposure that these students are getting at such a young age, I think it's mind-blowing. So congratulations to you on creating this sort of an environment for the students. Uh, so you
Thanks. Yeah.
you do work with a lot of young students, and it's what are the common challenges that these entrepreneurs face or these young students face, and what kind of a mindset do they need to come in with when they are thinking about entrepreneurship?
Brilliant, brilliant. So, like I said, our focus is entrepreneurial mindset, right? And at the end of this program, we want these youngsters to find what we call as entrepreneurial jobs, right? And we have a process that we work with them, which means you're working in a position where you have the scope to find problems, to solve problems, to make decisions. And that's why the mindset that is required for them to go through a program like this is the mindset of problem solving, right? And when you say problem solving, there's a certain amount of uncertainty, right? Because when you take on a challenge, when you take on a project, let's say you're doing a branding for an entrepreneur, or you're launching a website for someone, or you're creating an outreach plan, there is an uncertainty of whether it will succeed or not. There's an uncertainty whether your strategy will work out or not, right? Now, dealing with that uncertainty, handling that uncertainty is the mindset that we have to develop. It requires a certain amount of mental strength, and it requires the adaptability and flexibility. But people who have that entrepreneurial mindset, they actually get excited by that. Right? You don't get down by it, you get excited. And there are many failures that happen along the way. Like, so our students were setting up an event, last year, a big event, and they had tied up with a local mall, one of the major malls. And just few weeks before the event, the mall kind of cancelled out, the venue. It was the venue. So they were completely distressed, and they were sitting holding their heads till 12 o'clock at night, but they didn't give up. And then suddenly, midnight, an idea struck them. That if we can't go to the venue, then let's have a mobile venue. And they created the entire event by hiring 25 Innovas and making it like a mobile event across the city, right? So that mindset that, okay, we are facing a failure, we are facing uncertainty, but I'm not going to give up. We'll find a solution. That is what is required, and that is what gets built and sharpened. And whether you start your own business or whether you join a company, that's the mindset that is required to succeed and to grow.
Fantastic, superb. I think that's such an important point here for the students who are watching this is, and in generally in life also, never give up. Be whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're just a student who's studying something, never give up attitude, and finding out the solution, trying to just go behind the problem. I think that's very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. You may change your strategy, you may change course, you may refine, but you can't give up out of frustration.
Yeah. Superb. We are almost coming towards the end of the session, but what advice would you like to give to the students who want to pursue entrepreneurship but are not sure where to start?
Right, right. I'm not one who loves to give advice, but uh, any young person who wants to grow and succeed in business or in entrepreneurship, or or even if they want to go and join a business and succeed, working in that business, we say entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship, which is being a part of a business but working entrepreneurially. uh, the only thing that I would like to tell them is that uh, don't don't limit yourself to only one path. What happens is that we tend to think that if I do X, Y, and Z, if I do this course and then I do this MBA, or then I do this, then I'll have success. There's no formula, right? I would suggest that don't box yourself into any formula, but rather this is the time to explore, develop multiple skills, and focus on understanding yourself. If you can use the next few years of your life to understand what are your strengths, what motivates you, what energizes you, right? What comes naturally to you? Is it selling? Is it building? Is it working with people? Is it innovating? If you can start understanding yourself, and that's going to happen only when you explore and keep reflecting. I think that is the most important thing that you can do for yourself over the next 3-4 years, because that self understanding will tell you where to put your energy, where to focus, what opportunities to take, what opportunities to let go. And that is the single most important thing that a young entrepreneur or business person can develop for themselves. This is our take, and I hope it makes sense to all
Yeah.
your viewers.
Oh, absolutely. I think it makes tremendous sense. Before looking outside, look into yourself. Try to understand who you are, and what you are passionate about. What do you find meaningful? I think first
Absolutely.
look inside, and that then you start that outward journey as an
Exactly.
entrepreneur.
Unfortunately, what happens is the society teaches us to ask this question: where is their scope? In which industry, in which business is their scope? But that's the dangerous question, because the
Mhm.
truth is, Devesh, like and all of us, in the business and corporate world, know scope is everywhere. The question is that what do I have inside me?
Yeah.
Is it that I am aligned towards where can I maximize? Where can I align my strengths so that I can convert that scope into success, right? So
Yes.
it's more about what is inside me than what is the scope outside. Everywhere is scope. Today we live in a world where I like to say that if you throw a stone up in the sky, wherever it lands, there's an opportunity.
Mm.
Question is, which is the right opportunity for me, for each
Yes.
one of us?
Superb. I think fantastic. That's the perfect point to close is where is the opportunity for me? Thank you so much, Aditya. It was a pleasure having you on the
Thank
podcast
you
today.
so much, Devesh, for having me, and thank you for asking these wonderful questions.
Thank you.